Hi, this is Susan from Susan B. Cards. Today I'm going to be using this stamp set I've been using quite a bit lately. It's the Simon Hurley Ho 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 stamp set. You could see there's a lot of Christmas images, some snowflakes, and a bunch of sentiments. Today I'm going to be using these snowflakes. I have the snowflakes in my stamp positioner, and I am going to stamp this and gold heat emboss it. So I'm going to use Versamark. You can use gold pigment ink if you would rather. I do that sometimes because pigment ink does stay wet, and that way you can see the stamping. You don't see it as well with the Versamark. But I have this, I've been using this lately. I kind of like it. I feel like it stays really, really wet. My Versamark is a little bit stained because I use it for lots of different things, so I can see the image right here. And it doesn't really matter because it's going to end up being covered with a gold anyway, so I'm just going to stamp it one more time to be sure. Got that on there. I'm going to keep the stamp here in case I need to come back later and re-stamp the image after I use some ink on it. So again, I'm using my favorite embossing powder by Brutus Monroe. It is Gilded. I like it because it's really fine and it really shows the detailed images. Just going to get a piece of scrap paper. Came out great. I'm going to go ahead and heat that and I'll be right back. Okay, you could see that the gold is melted and shiny on here. And I'm just going to go over the top of this with some ink and do a little bit of ink blending to get some color onto my snowflakes. All right, I have scattered straw. I think that's what this is. Yeah, just a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to put that on there. Now my brush isn't that clean, so there may be other colors on here. I don't really know, but that's okay. And then I have Kitsch Flamingo. There's probably a little bit of picked raspberry on here too, because it looks a lot darker than it usually does. That's okay. Let me go back and put some of that yellow back on there, but the pink looks pretty dark. And then Salvaged Patina, and there looks like there's some blue on my brush, but it still looks pretty close. It's fine. Now Spellbinders made the dies to cut out these shapes, so I'm going to use that to cut out these snowflakes. It just cuts it out with one piece. They look like they're attached by string, so it'll just cut one piece. I'm going to go back over the yellow. It looks a little muddy. I'm going to use a little bit of this Fossilized amber. I think this one brightens it up a little bit. So there you go. Now I'm going to let this dry. If the ink doesn't buff off of the gold and it still looks a little bit, if it doesn't look as shiny as it did, I could go back, and because I left the stamp in the positioner, I could just go back, stamp it again with Versamark and gold heat emboss over the top just to get that shine back. So we'll see if it needs that or not. I'm going to use my gel plate now, and I'm going to make a background. I have a piece of Your Paper Insider watercolor paper, and this is cold pressed. One side is bumpy and one side's a little bit smoother, so I'm going to use a little bit smoother side. I'm going to start with a Distress Oxide scattered straw at the top, and then go into a little bit of a darker yellow, Fossilized amber. I'm not going to put too much down. And then I'm going to go into, I think I'm going to go into this Saltwater Taffy. And then some of the Spun sugar. And then what I want to do is go a little bit darker with a Kitsch Flamingo. I don't know how much of this is going to end up showing, because the paper's not that long. I'll probably edit out some of that yellow. So now I'm just going through with a brayer just to try to soften some of the edges. Okay. I feel like this pink isn't really going to show up. Okay. Let me just press my paper and see what we get. To get the excess ink off the brayer by just using it to press it into the gel plate. Hopefully I have something good underneath here. Might have to do another color. It's pretty, but not quite as dark as I wanted it. So I'm going to go back in with the Saltwater Taffy again, which was kind of here. Okay, I'm going to smooth this out one more time. Take a little spritz of water, and I'm going to press this back in here. I don't want to press it too much because the water starts to spurt. Okay. There you go. A little bit mottled, but very pretty colors. So I have this background here, and I'm just going to do a couple more quick sprays. You can see that. I don't know if you could see it, but I got a few water droplets here, and then I'm just going to take a paper towel and pick some of that off. So I just picked up a little bit of the ink. pretty. Here's my completed card, and I'll explain what I did to it because I didn't videotape everything. I took some of the Spellbinders splatter effects in this sparkle color, and it's pretty. It's iridescent, and it comes in this nail polish bottle, and it has the same kind of brush as nail polish has. And then I just took that and spattered it over the top. You could also put some on an acrylic block like this and then just flick it onto the panel. So I did that before I adhered the snowflakes. I just wanted some, just some shine in the background to make it look like snow. So after that dried, I took the Simon Hurley embossing folder, and this one is from a previous release called Skeezin's Greetings, and you can see it has these swirls on here which are meant to look like the grooves that skis or snowboards make in the snow on a hill. And I'll show you a card that I made using that. So this is from the previous release. And you can see I used some Spellbinders Treasured cardstock, and this one is just a little bit iridescent and has a little bit of shine. So I embossed that, and then I adhere to all these little snowboarders and skiers that are part of the collection. And this chalet is also another die from the collection, but I thought that was kind of cute. So you can see how it's meant to look like a hill. On this card, you can see that the embossing kind of looks like the string between the snowflakes, and it gives movement to the panel, I think. So I like the way that looks, and I always like an embossed panel. I think it just adds something to the background. But you can certainly leave it plain if you wanted, and it would still look really beautiful. I took the die from the snowflake, and I buy Fun Foam from Michael's, and it comes in sheets, and it's around $1. And I use that die for the snowflakes and cut out the image, and then adhered it to the cluster. Now I did cut off the parts that was string because it was hard to match up underneath. You could also just take scrap paper and, you know, do several layers of it and you'll get the same effect. Or you could just use pop dots if you want. I like the full coverage of that Fun Foam once in a while. And then I had also made another one of these clusters, did the same thing, and just clipped off what looked like the strings. And I put 2 extra snowflakes on this panel, one in each corner. You can see this one is a small one, this one's a medium-sized one, and I just discarded the large one. And then I gold heat embossed the sentiment, Let It Snow. That was included in the stamp set. And I just die cut it 2 times and just adhered it to the panel. The matching dies include the dies for the sentiments, which is nice because I just think it looks a little bit nicer and cleaner than fussy cutting it. And it wouldn't have looked good if I had stamped it onto the panel and then embossed it. But you can do whatever you want. I mean, that's just me. And then I took these clear gems that I've had forever, and they're not even made anymore, and I attached them to the center of the snowflakes. I just thought it needed something. It looks perfectly fine without anything, or you could use stickles or, you know, anything you have. You could use gold gems, which would also match the embossing and look pretty, or any kind of sequins, but not necessary. You know, I just like to add more dimension to my card. So that's it for today. You can find the listing and links of everything I use in the description underneath this video, and using those links helps me out. It helps support me and allows me to continue providing content. Or you can go to my blog at susanbcards.blogspot.com, and I'll have a written description of what I did and also links to the products. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.